I interviewed him. I had a great interview with him. And when he mixes science and philosophy and black hole technology, he's saying you can build mini black holes that will create anti-gravity and be anywhere in the universe in a matter of seconds. And then he has the science to back it up. And not only has the science to back it up, but he has a science to show how off mainstream science is. When I tell people like that, like Neil deGrasse Tyson at the American Museum of Natural History Planetarium, I say, hey, this guy has a theory of black hole. You have to hear it. And they don't want to know about it because...
No, they don't want to know. Because they've got a paradigm. They've built a paradigm. They're safe and comfortable within their paradigm, and they'd rather just stay there. Just in addition to Nassim Haramein, his paper just got accepted and peer-reviewed. He had previously won an award for his paper, but recently, I'd say within the last 2 weeks, he just got it peer-reviewed, and it was an amazing thing. He was very excited about it.
Well, that paper is actually called the Schwarzschild
proton, yeah.
And what he's actually proving in that is that the weight of the proton is different than what traditional science is telling us. Science, when they said that the weight of the proton was whatever they said it was, they had to include two other forces in that weight. So scientists, quantum physicists invented the strong force and weak force.
Weak force, yeah.
And then Nassim says, look, if you go to what the volume of quantum energy in a square meter of space is, and use this measurement for the proton, you don't need these two other forces. A matter of fact, there's a black hole in the center of every atom as well that's creating the illusion of these other forces. So he says, which is revolutionary, there is no strong force, there is no weak force, there's only two forces in the universe, electromagnetism, which is throwing things out, and gravity, which is pulling things in. So therefore, electromagnetism and gravity have a relationship, and you can use the inverse of that relationship, you can create anti-gravity. This is what's so revolutionary.
And you could tack on the electric universe onto there, and it'll answer even more questions. But we got to go to a break right now. We could just keep talking and talking, because you're on the same page as we are.
Well, it's exciting, isn't it? Yeah.
But we do have to go to a break right now.
Are you suffering from constant pain in the knee, shoulder, wrist, and other parts of your body? Needle-free acupuncture with Lipingo Life Pads may be the answer. Lipingo Life Pads combine ancient wisdom with modern nanotechnology and advanced engineering. They're designed to relieve pain naturally with no needles and no side effects. That's L-E-P-I-N-G-O, lipingoproducts.com.
You've always been told to think about the alternative. Well, we can do better. We can show you. AlternativeLifestyleProducts.com will improve your health, well-being, and lifestyle through hundreds of different products, from herbs and well-being products to our large selection of specialty clothing, jewelry, and more. We ship around the world with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. There's always new products and amazing specials. Let us show you at AlternativeLifestyleProducts.com.
Hey, and we're back. Just a quick note. Tom, I want to mention this to you. The Lipingo head, the one that fits around the head, in case you don't know, I'll throw it out there for everybody. Lipingo is it's these pads that you can put on your body, and they have crystals sewn into the pad, and they're nanotech crystals. And boy, you can feel it when you put them on. Anyway, I got the one for the head around my neck because I got a sore neck. Or I had a sore neck, but I put that on, and it gets hot. It really gets hot. Unbelievable.
That sounds great. Actually, I'd like to find out about those because I did study acupuncture. I have a degree in acupuncture, and
it's like It's like having acupuncture without the needles, the crystals, and they get hot. Like it warms up, and it's not a heat thing. I can't really explain it.
What it does is it creates your body creates circulation, and that circulation is so extreme that in your brain it feels like heat and this pinching feeling and that sort of thing, because it's rushing blood to that particular area.
Wow, sounds great. Where can I find out about that?
On lapingoproducts.com, the website.
Okay, it's great to have some sponsors. I have to do that for my show. I just don't have time, but I think
that's one of our sponsors, and it's definitely a great product. I want to get the Lapingo shirt. There's a shirt that has it. The crystals are crushed and they're embedded into the shirt, and you wear the shirt and it covers your whole upper torso. So I wore it once when Tom brought me over one, and I was freaking. I didn't want him to leave with it. I tried to steal it, but it didn't work out. Let's get back to Nassim, because you know what? You brought up an important point about the way, and it also refers back to the other gentleman you were talking about that you sat down with and had that conversation.
Bruce Lipton, yeah.
Bruce Lipton. There is a connection there, because Bruce Lipton, if I remember correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
He spoke about having the same thing in 3 different petri dishes. Is this the right guy? And it depends upon the environment.
Yeah.
How that thing grows, or whether it becomes muscle tissue or muscle fiber.
Yeah.
So it was the environment that it was. The cell didn't dictate. It was the environment that dictated what it was to become. And this is sort of keys into what Nassim's talking about, because he just doesn't talk about physics. I mean, he talks about pyramids, and he talks about the Ark, and he talks about,
but the big
new
thing
energy
about
systems.
But the big thing about Lipton's work and the environment, he says it's our belief about the environment that also creates our biology. So there's a chaos out there, but it's our perceptions, and our perceptions of what's out there are influenced by our beliefs and our education, going back to this idea of new realities and all that. So he says that in the biology of belief, it's that projection of what we think is in the environment that affects us the most. And I think, for me I understand what you're saying as far as Nassim's work, but it also touches on another aspect of what I'm trying to do, which is go inward into the human being and have us be more sensitive creatures. That's another aspect of my program. How do we feel more of our capacity as human beings? That's a big part of our evolution. But it's different than what you were asking. But
but everything, you're right though. Everything it's like the hub of a wheel. There's many spokes, but all the spokes lead to the same place.
Right. And so I investigate new sciences on new realities, but I also investigate human potential. And I think that potential lies with the artists. I mean, I have a great interview with Alex Gray. Do you know his work? The visionary artist, where he's painting the subtle energy bodies. He's painting energy. He's showing us the invisible. I mean, art itself makes the invisible visible. And so we're evolving a greater sensitivity of who we are. We're evolution of our culture is because we can feel more. There's a greater articulation of experience, if you know what I mean. Evolution happens because we can express in more subtle details what's happening in the world around us. That's how language evolves. But that's how human experience evolves, and that's how our contact with these other dimensions will evolve. People already are in contact with higher dimensions, alternate dimensions, but we don't have a language, we don't have a frame of reference, we don't have a cognitive factor. Again, going back to my Uncle George and cognition, as we develop the language that these shows are using, more of human potential comes online and they say, hey, maybe I had that experience, or maybe I had an out-of-body experience or near-death experiences. So people, like as we start to play with the language, people start to recognize what others have cognized. This is a big part of what I'm trying to communicate. Cognition and recognition. When you cognize something, there's actually no place to put it because it's the unknown. It's something we have yet to experience. So, but if we can sort of frame it somehow, someone else comes along and says, hey, maybe that's what happened to me. And this is part of our whole evolutionary mode of being.
Right.
Does that make sense? So I think
it does. I had a question, but it left me while I was trying to just roll with what you were saying there. I was picturing a bunch of different things, and I had, okay, that's a good question. And then,
sorry,
you didn't lose me, but I was caught up in what you were saying, and I was visualizing, and I was going, yeah, that makes it good. But then I'd lost my question.
Well, it's like it comes down to how do we make known the unknown? How do we know what we don't know? And, well, there's no way to answer that except to let go of everything we know and embrace the unknown. And this is what the whole ET experience is about. This is what Nassim's work as a physicist. He says, forget what you know, forget your assumptions. Let's look at what we don't know. Or let's look at what we know or don't know about what we know. You know? Right. So it's like this is about how to think differently. This is why I'm trying to communicate this. This is about new realities. If I haven't gone too out there for you guys.
No, it's a difference between Buddhism and Zen Buddhism. You have to learn everything there is about Buddhism. Right. Once you learn everything there is about Buddhism, then you're ready for Zen Buddhism. But the prerequisite of getting into Zen Buddhism is to forgetting everything you learned about Buddhism and starting fresh.
Right. And so we have to do that every minute in every situation. And I think that's what awakening is about. I think that's what people who have been called spiritually awake have come to, being forget everything you know about yesterday, about yourself, about everything, and start fresh. And then people can do that. I'm not saying I can do that because that's like a life journey, but there are people who can do that, and they're really the happiest because they're living in the moment, you know?
Right,
so,
right.
I think,
and it happens to average people all over the world, all the time. They're alive. They drowned, they're dead. They are resuscitated 4 minutes later. They come back. Within a couple months, their family members are saying they don't recognize this person. They don't understand them. They've changed into a different person. They're seeing things. They have psychic experiences. The person who's died and come back, I mean, they have gone through a crash course in human evolution. And it's disconcerting for them and for their family members.
Well, it's disconcerting, but this is where I think we're moving to as a planet, an awakening. And I think that's a big part of what I do on New Realities is talk to people who say they're awakened to this level of awareness. And that's very exciting because they are living on the edge. And I could put you in touch with some of these people if you want to expand your program in that way, because
we're called Spectrum, and the reason we're called Spectrum is because we don't want to have a narrow focus. Tom actually was Tom's idea. I'll give him credit for this. Tom said, let's not limit ourselves to just say UFOs and paranormal and a couple of other little slots. Let's open it up. Let's go as wide as we can and capture as much, because from at least from what I've understood, it is that wheel with the spokes all coming down to the same hub. It doesn't really matter where you go, because
Right.
you will come back to the same center point.